Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Making Disciples podcast. My name is Jeremy Smith, lead pastor of Crosspoint Church, part of the Replicate team. And we have with us the disciple-making mad scientist. That's today's, the disciple-making mad scientist, because he's always concocting some sort of new formula, some kind of one-liner, some principle or something, some sort of tool for you. Vick Green, CEO of Replicate. What do you think about that one, Vic?
I think the other thing is, hey, if we come work with you, we're gonna create something that explodes. It's gonna be something that blows up in your face. Like, I think that part may not sell as well. Like, hey, we create disciple making strategies that'll blow up in your face. It'll be great. You'll love it. And so, I respect the depth of names you have here. Like, I would have run out already, but I appreciate it.
Well, just me and Chat GPT. We're good at that kind of stuff.
My dad calls it chat with PT. So like he refers to Chat GPT as PT. So he's like, hey, have you chatted with PT about that? And I'm like, it's not what it's called. It's not how it works.
Yeah, but that's better. That's way better, actually.
It's the most old man way of saying it. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I guess the mad scientist thing, you're not evil though, folks. He's not evil. So, that there's the good mad scientist part.
Okay.
Goofy.
Good. I
the
like
goofy scientist of disciple making. Maybe that's it. All right. The
I
fun
can take
scientist.
that.
Okay. Okay, Vic. Today we're talking about one of my favorite things with Replicate.
You said that a couple of times. We're so like it's like me when I introduce. I'm like, this is my favorite tool, and they're like, you said that about the other 4 tools, and I'm like, you're right. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, maybe the thing I've talked about most with Replicate. There we go.
Sure,
that's probably right. It's today. The title is "The Problem You Don't Know You Have." The problem you don't know you have. And we're talking about ministry myths, the 5 ministry myths. We'll begin to kind of break those down. This was a paradigm shifter for us and for me. These are the things like, once you hear them, you're like, oh yeah, you know these are problems, but naming them in this way kind of brings them to the light. So the 5 ministry myths, the problem you don't know you have. And I know when you and Brad and other people go around to different churches, one of the things that y'all do is this Mythbuster game when it comes to the ministry myths. Where
Did you watch Mythbusters as a kid though? Like,
I did.
I loved that show. Like, it was like such a great show. Maybe that's why we brought it back for this tool. I don't know.
What's your favorite episode? You got one Mythbuster, like,
oh gosh,
wrapping the rubber bands around the watermelon or something, or crashing cars?
Man, I'm trying to remember any one of them. I mean, I remember all the like crash dummy stuff, like I remember that one was always so intriguing, and it's probably just, it was explosive, and I thought that was cool. But I just remember watching it. Like, it was one of those that I could always put on and watch. It was just always intriguing.
I wonder what the budget for that show was, because I watched somehow a Mythbusters clip came up for me on like a YouTube short recently.
Yeah.
And they had built a laser. And they were like lasering things, and seeing what it could go through or not go through, that sort of stuff. I'm like, what is the budget for this show?
It'd be a great job to have if you're an engineer and like those guys. Like, what a fun job that must have been.
Right. Yeah. And let's bring back some more Mythbuster shows. But anyway,
that's right.
Y'all do Mythbusters like, bulls get mad when they see red. True or false? Which one's that, Vic? We'll go review for you.
Yeah, so bulls get angry at the color red is actually a myth. They're red colorblind.
Okay.
With that said, they say it's the motion that agitates them, but I would say I'm still moving if a bull and I are in an arena. So, but that's that is actually a myth, even though Bugs Bunny made you think it was true.
Okay, I've got 4 here for you, and
Okay.
y'all can play along wherever you're listening right now as well. See how you do on these, okay? But these are 4 Vic has not heard before. So we'll see
Oh.
how good you are at this, all right? 4
Oh
true or
man.
false. Is this a myth? Here we go. Here's the first one. The Great Wall of China is not visible from space. The Great Wall of China is not visible from space.
Ooh. I've heard that it is, which makes me second guess that it is now. But I'll stick with, I've heard people say that it's visible from space. So I'm going to say truth.
Oof. This one's
Myth?
false. That one's a myth.
Daggone it.
Yeah.
Everybody, but people say it is. So like what I'm trying to do is go with what I actually think, but what the
Yeah.
other side of me wants to play Jeremy. I'm like, Jeremy's trying to trick me. So I'm like, I'm torn. All right. I'm 0 for 1.
That's
Great.
a myth. They take pictures of it, and so it's through these photoscopic lenses, or however you say that.
Oh.
It's not visible with the naked eye from space. There's the little technicality.
Wow, you didn't put naked eye in there. That would have changed it for me, maybe. And so, well played. I may need to add that one in ours next time. Okay. What's
Okay.
next?
All right. Here we go. This is I don't know. It's a tough one right here. I think maybe not for you. Goldfish. Think Finding Dory, Finding Nemo. Goldfish have a 3 to 5 second memory.
Yeah, I'm gonna go myth because I've always heard that true. I'm going myth.
That is a myth. That you got that one right.
All right.
They can actually, according to the source that I found, they can actually
the
remember
goldfish you asked.
Yeah, they can actually remember things for months. Now, how we test that, I have no idea. Who's doing this testing? Someone was like, "I've got to get to the bottom of this myth."
I will say I'm wrong in that because we said 3 to 5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah,
Like I was waiting
yeah.
for you to tell me they actually go 8 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
but they go months. That's
Months,
definitely
man.
a surprise. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Here's a weird one. Humans glow in the dark. True or false?
Okay. What counts as glow in the dark? Now this, like my personal experience, like I know I do not glow in the dark. And so I have run into people in the dark. I don't see them. So I'm going no.
Actually, you
False.
do glow in the dark. You do
False.
glow in the dark.
I will not believe this. I
It's just
totally
that
disagree.
I don't know why I had so many that were eye focused, but our eyes are too weak to see the light that you admit. You are the light of the world, Vic. Come on now,
Jeremy. Wow, it went there. It went there. Okay.
Okay, this one
I don't believe that one still, but continue on for podcast purposes.
Okay, here's one that I would. Okay, I'm not gonna give that, but this is a good one. This is the last one. I think it's a good one. Humans have 5 senses.
Okay, nose, eyes, mouth, taste.
Yeah.
Ears. That's 4. Touch, hands. I mean, because you're asking me this, I feel like it's a myth. Like I'm going myth, but I definitely believe it's true.
I know. Yeah, I've tried to figure out a different way to ask it for that reason. It is false. It's a myth. I did not know this. Balance is a sense. Pain, temperature. These are all senses we have according to what I found on the internet. So you can dispute that all you want. Maybe those aren't right. I don't know. But according to my source, Chat PT, these are all true or false.
Okay,
or whatever,
thank you, chat. Thank you, PT. I appreciate it. All right. So, for the record, for all those that do this MythBusters, which will explain why this is so important, but I did as bad as the people that I do it with. Everybody's like, "I'll get 10 for 10," and it's like 4 for 10, 5 for 10. I think I went like 2 for 4 there. So
2 for 4, 50%. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. About like my high school grades. Great. All right. And we're back.
And we should trust you with disciple making. Okay.
There we go. So why in the world are we starting with Mythbuster, Jeremy?
Okay, we're starting with Mythbusters because they're myths that we believe in the church as well, that until we name them, they remain unexposed and we continue in them, and because of that, we don't become the disciple making movement that we've been created to be, that Jesus called us to be. So bringing it back to the church, this ministry miss tool is so important for us to name these. So,
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about the tool and why it's impactful.
Yeah, the idea of around myths was that what's scary about myths is it's a faulty belief that's driving your behavior and you don't even know it.
Mm.
It's a faulty belief that's driving your behavior and you don't even know it. And so as we started looking at why disciple making movements aren't happening, why disciple making culture isn't working, like what we realized is that that the way that churches were operating, they had this faulty belief, this faulty operating system that came with priorities and assumptions and expectations that were actually hurting them. They were hindering disciple making. And so we would talk about new strategies and things like that, but like it would never click because ultimately it's a word that actually I've used now all the time, but never before this tool. The pastors had a faulty paradigm. The
Mm.
paradigm is just the way in which you view things, the way that we view church. And so, like this Mythbuster, like what's fun about that is I ask the people afterwards, why did you believe wrongly? Like what? Everybody has something they believe wrongly. Why did you believe it? And the answers are always the same. Just like me, personal experience validated it. Hey, I do not glow in the dark. Still don't believe that, Jeremy. And so I don't glow in the dark. Or like this idea of bulls get angry color red. Well, like all of culture says it's red. It's everywhere. Bugs Bunny had it. Someone I trusted told me. Somebody that was credible told me. There was something you said about the Great Wall of China. Like I missed
Yeah.
a small detail, the naked eye idea, like, oh, I missed that. And it's just all of these assumptions, they hold true in the church space too. We believe myths in ministry because somebody credible like a professor told us. Somebody like a mentor told us that we trusted. Our personal experience, maybe in a past church, you did ministry one way and it was successful, but now it's not working. And so every other church was doing it. It just seemed logical to take business principles and just apply it into the church. And so this idea, the way that myths form happen because there is an assumption that's made. There's an assumption along the way. We assumed too much. We didn't do the research and it formed a myth in our life. And in the church space, there's ways in which pastors often think about doing church that we think are true, but they're a myth. And, here's what's crazy. If you had asked me around this idea of the Great Wall of China being seen from space, I would have said, yes, I think you can. And I would have felt confident in that. I would have said, yeah, clear, confident. Here's my answer. That's the exact, but I was wrong. And so what you realize is, think about a myth is you can be wrong and not even know it. Actually, wrong
And
can
feel
feel like you're
confident.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I was confident. Like wrong can feel like you're right. And I think that's what's so scary about myths. And for us in the church space is you have a faulty belief that's driving your behavior and you don't even know it. One other that really helps me think through it, one of the myths that I believed for years was that if you pick up a baby bird, its mother will reject it. Okay, that's a myth. I thought that my whole life though.
Same.
And so, how long did you believe that?
Just until I did ministry miss,
Yeah, the
whenever it
first
was a
and 2
couple of
years
years
ago.
ago. And even now, I'm like you with the Great Wall of China or glow in the dark. I'm still going to be really skeptical about picking up that baby bird or whatever it is.
That's right. And what's so funny, I'll do that, and people like at the end of the day, their like biggest takeaway was like that you can pick up a baby bird, and I'm like, guys, we covered a lot more important things today. And so, but take that idea and apply it into the church space for us. This is what it was as I saw a baby bird, I wanted what was best for the baby bird. So what I would do with good intentions, I would walk around the baby bird and leave it in harm's way. So my good intentions actually was having a negative impact on the baby bird. And that's the impact myths have. It severs good intentions from good impact. No pastor is waking up saying, "Hey, I don't want disciple making to work. I don't want my people to be excited about it. I don't want to grow a church." Like no pastor is waking up with those ill intentions, but they're having a negative impact. And where our good intentions are not matching up with our good impact, it's often because there's a myth that's in the way. And so that's kind of what formed this idea of myth and how it creeps into the ministry space is what are the myths that we unknowingly accept as ministers, as pastors, that are actually holding us back. And
Mm.
that's to the idea of the episode. The biggest problem you have is that you don't know that you have a problem. We think you're like me with the Great Wall of China. I'm confident and clear that this is true when it's not. And so that's kind of the inception of the tool.
Hey, church leader, I want to take just a moment and tell you about an exciting opportunity for you. Most churches have a passion for multiplication, they just don't know how to do it. Pastors have this disciple-making burden, but their vision and strategy for it just aren't working. After 17 years and working with over 4,000 churches, our team has found many ways to help the church better make disciples. We call this our Movement Ready Church process. It helps your church create a disciple-making culture, vision, and strategy that fits your unique context. It fits your church size, your community, your leadership style. If you want more information about our Movement Ready Church process, you can grab the book, Movement Ready Church, at any place that books are sold. Also, you can join us for any of our Movement Ready trainings. We host one-day trainings all across the country, and we have a virtual on-demand course that you can go through as a team. So if you're ready to see multiplication take off at your church, just go ahead and grab the leader notes in this show, and you'll see all the links to what I've mentioned and more. Now, let's get back to the episode.
It's like what these ministry myths do is they expose the real problem instead of the symptoms. You
I
know,
like that.
how many arguments have you been in where you're arguing about something and then you get done, you're like, what was that even about? You know,
Yeah.
we argue about the symptoms all the time, or I know there's been times where I've been vehement that I was right about something, and then someone pulls up a text message, and I'm like, okay, you know, I could have
Yeah.
swore that I did that, and I guess I didn't, or I said it that way, or whatever. And so, yeah, getting exposed by these is a good thing because we're
Yeah.
getting to the real problem. So, let's jump into the very first one. Tell us about the engagement myth.
Yeah, well, just to kind of so people can understand how they work. There's 5 of them. Each one of them has there's the myth that what we believe, and then the assumption behind it. And so we'll kind of tackle these in future episodes. But this one, this is the one I'd say is the foundational myth. Like it's the one that most church, like everybody resonates with. And then usually all the other myths, if you can't figure this one out, the rest you're struggling with as well. And the first myth is the engagement myth. And the assumption that you believe is that activity equals transformation. And so it's the idea that program activity equals personal transformation. And what this is, the reason that we figured this out is Scotty in our church. We looked and said, who's the most active person in our church, using that as the metric for success. A guy named Scotty was the most active person in church. He was always at worship service, prayer ministry, small groups. He volunteered alongside other volunteers. He came to missional outreaches. He listened to every podcast like that Robbie did, every sermon. This guy, the most active person in church. Here was the problem. When Scotty introduces himself, he says, "Hi, my name's Scotty, and I'm an atheist." In in that moment, our most like the person who we have as number 1 on our success metrics of activity doesn't even know Jesus.
Mm.
And like, I love that he found Long Hollow to be a safe place that he could explore his faith and find relationships and people welcomed him. But we can't look and say that this person is the number one disciple in our church. Activity and transformation are connected, but they're not the same. And so this first myth is just that idea that activity does not equal transformation. They're correlated, they're connected, but they're not the same. Most pastors, all when they hear that, it's a big amen. The problem with that is they don't actually know how to measure transformation. You just kind of, again, how do you measure success? Well, we assume too much and we said, well, in the business world, they measure attendance, buildings, cash, like they measure what's concrete and visible. Let's just take that. But what we're called to is, Robbie, I don't know who says it. I think I've said this before. Like, he doesn't just count the people in the church, he weighs them. We're called to present people fully mature in Christ. And so that's really that first myth, which I know just you do this to a ton with the churches in the Global Methodist, part of the Reawakening Initiative. For you, and knowing your story, tell us just a little bit about the engagement myth and kind of when that aha happened for you, because I think a lot of people resonate with that story, and I think it's a huge part of as you train and equip churches to help those light bulbs go off.
Yeah, and I've talked about this multiple times already. That question, not how many disciples, but what kind of disciples are you a part of making? But the aha was when I went back to the people at our church and people in my life group. Now, let me caveat it. It was a fairly new life group. Okay. So it wasn't like a life group had been together for
Yeah.
lots of years. Okay. But anyway, I went back to, I'm going to give a little credit here,
That's right.
but I went to my life group members. I went to people in our church and I asked those questions. Tell me the gospel. And they could tell me like pieces and parts of it, but there's very few that could clearly articulate the full gospel.
Yeah.
And then I would ask, have you ever made another disciple? Or when's the last time you shared your faith or invested in someone spiritually or had a spiritual conversation? What I realized and found out, this was foreign to me because I had them all the time, but guys do not have spiritual conversations with anybody unless it's like they become really intentional about it. And then if you have made another disciple, let's say of your kids, have they ever made other disciples? And the answers I got back to those questions exposed this myth because we were busy as a church, still are. I mean, our church has been around now for 113 years. And so, there's a lot of programs, a lot of ministries, a lot of people, a lot of staff. We have a community life center. And so like people are always in our buildings, using them from the community, playing basketball, working out, having community events, all that stuff. There's always activities at our church. And what we would say is like, man, look at all that God is doing. But then when I was kind of weighing people, with these questions about what kind of disciples we were making, all of that activity was not creating the kind of disciples that even knew how to articulate the gospel well or were making other disciples. So that was the aha moment for me. Like, all this activity is not equaling personal transformation.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what does that even look like? How do you measure personal transformation? I know we have some tools for that. But that was it.
Yeah. And I love that, I think actually in a couple of episodes have you and Jagger kind of building upon that, sharing y'all's story. What I love is that the questions you started asking there, it sent you in a totally different direction. When you started sitting down and saying, hey, what does the gospel mean? Have you ever made a disciple? Like, those are transformation questions, not activity questions. Like, activity questions look like, hey, like, how regular are you coming to worship? How often are you at small group? How often are you on volunteer teams? And those questions, those questions there just look to, are they showing up? Are they present? Like, Scotty can answer all of those. You're asking, is transformation happening? Are they growing in their faith? And so in future episodes, we'll talk more of like, man, practically, how do you change that scoreboard? You and Jagger will share how did you guys do that at Crosspoint? I'd love though maybe one more kind of version of this. So in the show notes, and I'd encourage you to grab them, is we're going to give you the ministry myth assessment. And so this is something in all of our processes that we have teams go through. Day one, just to get everybody on the same page, to get us saying the same things, seeing the same things. And so that idea, the ministry myth assessment, is, I would say, it's probably our most popular resource because it gets the conversation started and it helps expose blind spots. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And like this really helps us all be like, oh wow, I didn't think about that, or I didn't realize I saw it that way. I didn't realize that me and another person saw it very different. So that tool there, you can get in Leader Notes. Would highly encourage to get that, share that with your team. Jeremy, that's something that you guys did when we first started the process, but then you also, you did it with your whole staff, and it's something that actually is built into your onboarding process now. So you guys have really taken it to the nth degree and getting the staff thinking this way. What conversations is that tool bringing a service for you? What benefit is that having for you and your staff?
Yeah, I mean, we also do it with the annual conferences that we go to when in our denomination, where you have a bunch of lay people and clergy as well, and so you get to have that, you get to roll that out to these lay people. Here's what I found: when you name these things, the pastors feel convicted, the lay people get excited. I'm talking about, because they're like, yes, that is what I want in my spiritual walk. I want to be able to do what God is asking me to do to make disciples. I just don't know how, and part of that's the way they think about themselves. I know we'll talk about that sometime in the future too, the way they think about themselves. The way they think about ministry has been like, you do all this stuff for us because that's your job, but also because we don't know how to do it. And as pastors, we're sort of happy to accept that to some degree, but then it becomes overwhelming and we burn out. There's the cycle. And so, naming the engagement myth, everybody's like, yes, the lay people get super excited about it. But what it's done for our staff is it's that paradigm shift that you were talking about of like, oh, my job isn't just to get more people.
Yeah.
My job is to be a part of forming people and helping them become the disciple that Jesus has created them to be, helping them be formed into the image of Christ and living a holy life. That spiritual transformation is what we're really aiming toward.
Yeah.
And so, it does two things. It frees them in some ways, like, yes, that's what I want to be about. But then it creates a tension of how do we do that?
Yeah.
And so we have some answers for that, I know, but it does a little bit of both those things.
Yeah, I find it so valuable too. On the other side of it is you have this new common language. And so it's like, it's because what it does when you start these conversations, we feel them, we just couldn't name them. This helps you name them. And so next time you feel it or you are operating from that place, you can be like, hey, we're falling into the engagement myth here. Hey, we're falling into the expertise myth. Hey, we're falling into the equipping myth here. And so you can go into each of these with that common language. I love too, you said the staff and the lay leaders, like there's benefit in the congregation going through this, because the truth is that engagement myth, your staff, your leaders, you have it and your people have it.
That's right.
And it shapes what they expect from you. And so if you call to a disciple-making lifestyle and they have the engagement myth, they're going to say, tell me where's the program? Is the church hosting it? Is it going to be on Wednesday nights? All of that engagement myth is going to come through in how they receive your vision. And so that having that tool there in your leaders is so helpful. Any final thing from you on just ministry myths, the value it's been, before we send them to the resource here?
Yeah. Again, this is going to be convicting, but I don't know. Every time I go through these, I think to myself, oh, we got to work on that one. oh,
Yeah.
we've slipped back into this one. I don't think you're ever done with these.
Yeah, that's a great word.
And so that assessment is super important to continue to go back over and through to check yourself and to check your church. And I don't even know if it's the enemy or just culture or what all the factors are in that. We just believed them for so long. It goes back to me knowing that the baby, or at least taking your word for it now, that the baby bird.
Don't assume too much. Don't assume.
But I'm still, when I see that baby bird, I'm still like, should I? I
Yeah.
don't know if I believe that still,
Yeah.
because it's so ingrained. So our default is to slip back into this. So I'd say it's not a one and done. This is something we
it's so
continue
good.
to check up on.
I love that. Like, I think it isn't a one and done, and we always slip back to it because that's just how we've always operated. I think it's also it's what is often recognized and praised. So like some of it is just rewiring and getting the right scoreboard for what success looks like for us as ministry leaders. And so love that it's not one and done. And then two, I would just encourage, take this tool. It'll be an assessment here. You can send it to people on your team. Even if it's just like you and your like couple of lay leaders, and you're leading your church of 100, like take a couple of your key leaders, key stakeholders, go through it and then talk about it. And I think it's super valuable. And what I'd encourage is be honest with where you are. And so one of the couple of things happen is like some people, they are a little too harsh, and we gotta be like, okay, like, hey, it's all right. But a lot of people will be like, well, we do this and we have all their good intentions. This goal of this assessment is to get clear on reality today and to get clear on what each person is seeing. And when we start there, we know where we are and everybody is seeing the same thing and saying the same thing. We can begin to move forward. In the episodes ahead, we're going to not just give you this ministry myths resource, but we're going to unpack each of those myths and talk about how it plays itself out in the church. So we're going to look at the engagement myth, the expertise myth, the empowerment myth, and so forth. So if you want a sneak peek at that, grab the assessment and you can start it with your team. And in the episodes ahead, we're going to unpack those together. As always, grab the leader notes. That's where the ministry myths assessment is. You'll also see the transcription and other leader notes there. And then, as always, subscribe and share if it's been helpful for you. And we can't wait to see you next week.